All right, so welcome everyone on this Sunday, June the 22nd for the ACM Mid Year Meeting. This is a very informal, casual meeting. The point of this meeting is there are several points of it. One is to get you up to speed of what the executive committee is doing. It allows you the opportunity to ask questions. It also allows you the opportunity to make observations and make suggestions too. So we want this to be a two-way conversation. The other aspect of it is social. So we want everybody to kind of meet and greet. We'll have a social at the end of this. So for example, right now, I know everybody on this call, but I know everybody on this call doesn't know everybody else. So I want to give you guys opportunity to discuss, introduce yourself. So with that, the greeting, we'll move on. What I'd like to do is just give everybody, say in like 2 or 3 sentences, if you want to introduce yourself, who you are, where you are, what you do, maybe why you like ACM, and then just kind of wrap it up like that. So what I'll do is I'll start in the upper right-hand corner, and people are popping in, so this might change. It's a little fluid, but batting leadoff, Julie Gaddy, if you're ready, if you want to just introduce yourself, who you are, where you are, and what you do, and what you value of ACM.
Hi, everyone. Are you able to hear me? Yeah. All right. Great. Thank you. I am Julie Gaddy. I live in Denver. A couple years ago, I decided to leave the operational forecasting world and go into a contracted position. My focus area is predicting warm season, heavy rainfall risks for the state of Colorado. These forecasts are posted every day for the Colorado Flood Threat Bulletin. So if you Google Colorado Flood Threat Bulletin and you click the link, you'll see my regular discussions there. I do a daily outlook and I do a 14-day bi-weekly outlook. I am looking for additional projects to work on, especially starting in October this year, because my contract for this particular project ends at the end of September. So if you have projects that you want help with, I'm your lady.
All right. Excellent, Julie. Thank you. Dan Schreiber, you want to go next?
Sure. Thanks, Mark. Dan Schreiber. I'm in Texas. I've been with ACM for, I don't know, about 5 years now or so. So I think I know just about everybody on the call, but background was in military weather, and then started my own business and moved that business over to a larger company now, and primarily focused in forensic meteorology. So okay. That's it.
Cool. Thanks, Dan. Kai, you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Kai O'Mara. 16 years in broadcasting, and now almost 2.5 with forensics. Dan is my boss at JSL, so we work together every day. And I think we've seen a lot of different files together, that's for sure. On the side, I try and do some lighter stuff with weather because forensics kind of burns my head out sometimes. So I've got a little side website that I work on, and I was elected ACM secretary. So if I'm looking off to the left or the right during the meetings, I'm just trying to take the best notes I can for us. That's all. Thanks. From here. I'm in Iowa. 92 this afternoon. It was actually kind of nice. I liked it.
Thanks, Kai. Randy?
Hey, all. Randy Bass, now Waynesboro, Virginia. For those of you who don't know, I did retire from the FAA back in November to kind of do my business part-time, which is now about 30 hours a week. So I don't know what happened to the part-time piece, but it's definitely been busy. And you know, the whole reason of ACM to me is, besides all the other things, is networking and helping out each other. And a perfect example was this past week. Rick Shima contacted me with some questions about the ASOS and AWAS systems. And then I turned around and reached out to Dan the other day on some hail things that I had questions about. So it's really great to, have this network that we can reach out to people if you need help on something.
Yep. Agreed, Randy. Thank you. Jim Bria.
Hi, everyone. I am in Stamford, Connecticut. I work for a company called CompuWeather. Used to be Fleet Weather. Been there for over 20 years now. Started as forecasting, now doing forensics, and really that's the kind of meat of what I do and the core of what I do. Working on past weather cases all over the country. What I find most valuable about ACM, and I'm a board member as well at ACM. With ACM, I've been on the board for a couple of years now. Handle admissions as well. But what I find most valuable is the networking. Honestly, it's being able to kind of connected with people in the industry and being able to meet and share information. I think has been so valuable for me.
Thanks, Jim. Brant Maxwell.
Hello. Yeah, I'm living in San Diego, and I just retired from the National Weather Service. Most of that time was here in San Diego, though I started in Monterey. But I retired at the end of April, and I traveled for a whole month in Europe in May, and now it's doing a lot of things to catch up, like getting my house ready for my girlfriend to move in, for one thing. But I do plan on starting consulting, as early as August. Or, well, if I get an offer beforehand, then obviously I'll do that. I am also thinking about, actually not just thinking about it, I plan to submit an abstract for AMS 2026 in Houston. So I will be there for any kind of ACM social activities that would go on then. But yeah, I already have an idea for an abstract, and I just need to do a little bit of research on that. Just give you a hint, it's a weather issue that happens mainly in winter here, but it's not snow.
Yeah, I know you have a lot of experience with, and we can all take a guess at what you're insinuating, but you have a lot of experience with that, Brant. So I think it'll be an excellent discussion that you're going to offer. So thank you. Pam Knox.
Hi, everybody. I'm Pam Knox. I am in Athens, Georgia. I work at the University of Georgia as the weather network director, but I also am a CCM, so I do part-time work with court cases. Haven't had a lot of business lately. I have to be tread a little carefully with the university because they have a lot of restrictions about what you can and can't do, but I do still do a few things. Love the ACM and the CCM program just because it gives me a chance to talk to other professionals who do the same kind of work. There's not a whole lot of CCMs here in Georgia, so I really appreciate the national network of that. Yeah, I'll probably be retiring in the next year or so, and I may try to expand the CCM work that I do at that point.
Thank you, Pam. Jan Knoll.
Good afternoon, everyone from Half Moon Bay, California. I was with the National Weather Service for 24 years, and now I've been on my own as the owner of Golden Gate Weather Services for 27 years as of about 3 days ago. So 51 years in the book. I'm a former NCIM past president, and there and now here with ACM, the networking is awesome. And it's also lately I've been doing some mentoring, trying to encourage other people to become CCMs. And I urge all of you to try and do that as well, to try and get more people into the ranks. It's a really big pie that we have to cut up here. I don't think we ever have to worry about oh, someone's going to take some of my cases. I think we're all keeping plenty busy. So great seeing everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jan. Tim Hall.
Oh, hoping my audio is good. All right. I think I know almost everybody. I'm a retired military. I currently work for an aerospace company called the Aerospace Corporation, federally funded research and development center, where I am a chief scientist for environmental monitoring architecture and really all things weather, essentially our company's chief meteorologist. And former past president here of ACM and member since 2011. Nice to see everybody.
Thanks, Tim.
Oh, you wanted the two things. I have to resonate with others. It's about learning and it's about networking and just associating with some of the best here in the field.
Agreed. Rick Shima? Rick, if you're not there, we'll come back to you. Elizabeth Austin?
Hi, everyone. I've been in the pool, so I'm not turning on my camera, but it's good to see everyone. I am a past president of the ACM and NCIM member for a long time. I am the CEO and founder of Weather Extreme. I'm also the chief scientist on the Pearland project. I'm in kind of between Reno and Tahoe, that area in Nevada. And I really like the networking aspect of ACM. And I have to say, anyone in my company who's an ACM, I cover all their dues and also push for them to, attend everything because it's so important. And some of that happens to be, well, a lot of people, but we have so many people. Oh, okay. Rick Shima just said something. I'm here. Okay. But it's so good to be part of this. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hey, Rick.
Okay, hi. Sorry about that. I couldn't find the mute. I'm on my phone, and so that's why I don't have any video. But anyway, yes, I'm in Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. I am a retired Navy guy, 26 years or 24 years. I have been with the NCIM, now called ACM, for a number of years, even since before I became a CCM. And I love this organization. I just can't say enough about it. Since Randy mentioned my name, I got to mention other people's names. Dan Schreiber, Mark McGinnis, Alicia, Elizabeth have all helped. I helped them, they helped me, passing clients back and forth, assisting me in model work with ongoing cases. Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for your WRF work. I really do appreciate that. And Randy, you just hit the nail on the head. You responded very quickly to my questions I was being deposed on. Excellent. And it just takes a village, and this is a village. I mean, we are one family, and I really do appreciate all of the help, and I hope people appreciate the help that I may or may not be giving to the community. Moving on from that, I'm on the marketing committee, and so I am tasked with promoting conference attendance. So if anyone is interested in attending conferences that promote ACM services, let me know. There is travel expenses. We have a travel expense budget that can defray some of the travel costs if that's an impediment to folks registering or volunteering. It's a commitment, and I can explain more details about that. But we do need some level of interest from this organization in whether or not we're going to be attending these conferences. And I would highly suggest that we continue attending the conferences or symposiums, expos, because I think it just gets our name out there. We've had some success in some folks following up on getting business or business inquiries from when I attended the last PLRB. So it does have its benefits. Okay, so any questions, just let me know or contact me if you're interested in the conferences. Thanks so much.
Yep. Thanks, Rick. So
Yep.
The way this mid-year will move forward, we're going to have committee updates. So some I see. So Dan, if I'm going to put you on the spot, you don't have to talk about in great detail, but just share with what your committee is doing. Let's see. Not all committee chairs are here, so I will share minutes from the last meeting that we had in May, the quarterly meeting. After that, I want to talk about ACM activities, especially focused towards Houston, and kind of what we as an organization and our leadership would like to see executed over this, well, next 7 months. After that, we'll have an open panel discussion. Anybody has a subject they want to tackle, you can just raise your hand and bring it up. If it's slow to start, I have a couple ideas in the queue, but I'd really like it to be more led by you than me throughout this, which is fine, not to put the pressure on anybody. But let's go ahead and move with the next phase, which is committee updates. And Dan, since I called you out, I think you shared with me a couple emails along with TC, kind of like thought leadership with ethics committee. So I think that would be a great topic to share with everybody here.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, no problem at all, Mark. So I actually moved over from the marketing committee to the ethics and standards committee here at ACM. And one of the projects that we're working on right now is kind of a parallel project to what AMS is doing with their ethics committee. And we're hoping to work together with them pending executive board approval. But basically, what it's come down to is we're kind of trying to get ahead of AI and use of AI related conclusions. And I have to say, I guess I got to say it carefully. Use of AI is encouraged, right? Use of AI and Python and that sort of stuff, that, WRF modeling and all of that, whatever you want to do, I think is always encouraged, right? But what we're trying to get ahead of is the ultimate conclusions being that solely of AI or solely of machine learning, right? Versus an expert opinion. And that's largely tailored to court cases and expert witness work, right? And we want to really curb the use of sole reliance on algorithms without any explanation, right? Or sole reliance on an AI output without any explanation. And I'm going to give you some context of that. Kai said we work together, right? So Kai and I have done some things recently where we can have Microsoft Copilot, the free version, which isn't that great, write a weather report in about 5 seconds. We can feed it the details, and it will write us a weather report that looks good with citations, okay, in about 5 seconds. And it's not hard to do at all. We just got deposed. I just got deposed, actually, me and another member of our team here at JS Held. I was the peer reviewer, so I got deposed, and she was the testifying expert, and she got deposed. We got deposed on the same file. She's a little bit younger than me, and I thought some of the questions that were asked there in a deposition were just very odd and out in left field, kind of, and not even really relevant to the topic that we were discussing in the deposition. But she caught on right away that basically what the deposing lawyer had done was take the expert report, fed it into a chat GPT or something like that, and basically asked it to generate deposition questions to try to, basically put us into a corner. And because really we could understand as much that the opposing counsel didn't really know what he was asking, right? But the questions that he were asking were very meteorological. So really, it only made sense that it was fed to him by somebody else or something else. But the other side does not have a meteorologist. So that's the only thing that really makes sense. So anyway, this AI is being utilized, right, in expert witness work, and really, ethically. When we're kind of bound by higher standards. Sure, we can use AI. Sure, we can use machine learning. Sure, we can use things that make our job more efficient, right, and grab data quicker and so forth, right. But the ultimate conclusions or ultimate opinions should be that of our own, right, versus that of a computer. And so that's what we're working through and carefully wording a statement for ACM to stand by, and I've been working with Jerry Mulvey on it. Jerry Mulvey is also part of the AMS committee, who's working on something similar. So that should be coming out. Well, things are a little bit slow right now, but hopefully in the next year or so, is this kind of really where do we stand as experts and professionals in meteorology, and the use and reliance on AI for meteorological opinions. So a little long-winded, but I just wanted to bring you up to speed on that.
No, and it's really important, Dan. So I thank you for sharing that with us. I think that's probably going to be a topic in social discussion at the end of this. It has been in the past, and this is obviously a topic that's not going away. So thank you for your committee's work on this, and look forward to the statement that comes out. Randy, you have a question?
Yeah, Dan. If the lawyer doesn't understand the questions that he's asking you from ChatGPT, how's he going to understand, or the question? If he doesn't understand the questions he's asking you, how is he going to understand the answers you give him?
Hey, I'm not
unless he puts it back in a ChatGPT to see if you're correct.
I don't know. Yeah, we were getting asked. It was we were getting asked questions about downburst, and then he started talking about bright band imagery, on reflectivity, and stuff that just wasn't even related to downburst. So yeah, it was really, there were just some off the wall questions that were just odd. He didn't order the transcript, which makes me seem like didn't really care. I think he was just trying to get us flustered or something. I don't know, but it was a really good lesson, and you have to be an expert in literally everything, because if you kind of throw your hands up and say, I don't know, even if it's completely irrelevant, right, it could put you in a bad spot. And so it was kind of a really good lesson of at least being able to work your way through some tough questions that were not even relevant. And the opposing counsel, your counsel, not even knowing to object to relevance, right? And so, yeah, really interesting. I don't know the answer to that, Randy. Like I said, it's the first time I've ever come up against that, where it was quite clear. I didn't recognize it off the bat, but the other my teammate recognized that. Kai, you had a question on it?
Yeah, just building on what you said, we actually put that report of one of our coworkers into a co-pilot interface to say write a rebuttal to it, to see what kind of stuff that could be coming our way. And I'll be darned if 80% of it came her way and she nailed it. So it can be used, as an advantage too, of be like, well, there's a chance they don't know what the other side of the heck they're talking about, but they're going to go in there and try and figure something out. But then at the same time, you got to sit there and go, all right, well, AI might be full of crap too. But just it sometimes is neat to see what it tries to come up with, and then see if the attorney tries to do it. So Dan's right, though. It's out there. We tested this all out, I think about 3 or 4 months ago, and it was ridiculous what it was coming up with. So it's there.
So Tim made a comment. He's working with general AI tools with his job, and he's familiar with the ethical issues. So you guys can see this in the chat if you have it open. So Dan, he'd be willing to help if you want some feedback or participation.
That's great. And I think, Jim, if you're on the executive committee, you'll have a chance to see this as well, what the statement we're putting together. Like I said, I think the use of all these tools is perfectly fine. It's just what is the ultimate opinion, right? Is that something that you've gone through as a meteorology expert and come through yourself and validate it as a scientifically appropriate opinion?
Yeah.
And that's really what this is. That's really what this is targeting.
Absolutely. Let's see. Let's move on. Let's see. Jim. Oh, Jim, you have a question?
Just one last comment. So if I've seen stories now over the past couple of weeks of attorneys using these to write briefs that they're submitting to the court using Chat GPT, and it's just making up cases. It's basically must be taking pieces of different cases and just citing cases that don't exist, and they've been caught by the court doing that. And cited and fined, and sometimes it's been big fines for doing that. So you certainly have to be careful with the Chat GPT stuff, the AI stuff. And, it's good at making up stories, and I think sometimes it's making up cases that they're referencing for precedent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if they're using it for a motion for summary judgment or whatever, trying to prove their case and whatever, then I'll be danged that they aren't using it to prep for your deposition.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yep. Okay. Jim, do you want to share admissions membership?
Yes. Yeah. So we are currently at 87 total members in the ACM now, which I think historically, Mark, you probably can, qualify this as the most that we've ever had, or pretty close to the most we've ever had.
Jan might be a better, or Elizabeth might be a better barometer of that. I think we're on the high end. I don't know if we're at the highest level ever, but it's a strong number nonetheless.
Yeah, and it's certainly been slowly increasing. We gain a few people, lose a few people over the year, and I think there's about 54 consulting, 25 associate, and 8 retired or so members. It has been fairly quiet over the past couple of months. Our last new member was back in April, and we had a couple in January after the meeting, after the annual meeting in New Orleans. But it's kind of a typical quiet time for this time of year where there's people are doing their summer activities. So I'm sure it'll start to pick up again in the fall.
Hopefully. Jan?
Yeah, I think you're in about the same ballpark as NCIM was in the early 2000s, 2005, I think, when I was president. So yeah, it's looking great.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jan.
Yeah, thank you.
And Jim, I did, and everybody here on the call, I did send out a congratulations letter to the 3 most recent CCMs since March. So they've had 3 more since March. I have not heard back from any of the 3, but hopefully they have interest. Let's see. Moving on then, let's see, committees I can share with you. So we had our Q2 meeting for ACM on May 21st. Treasurer report, John sends his apologies for not being able to attend, but he had last minute family vacation plans or just family time, so totally understandable. To share with him, our ACM checking account is right around $9,000. The Schwab account is just under $70,000. Financially, ACM is on solid ground. We have a projected budget deficit for the upcoming year of $3,000. This is a continuation of our policy, really like the last 5 years, where we're investing a lot in marketing and on our website. And the executive committee, and there are former members of the executive committee on this call, we feel like that's actually bearing a lot of really good fruit. So we're going to continue that for a few more years. It's always open for discussion, but we're on great financial ground. And quite frankly, if our membership numbers continue to increase, that kind of offsets a little bit of that deficit to move forward. Now, having said that, our fiscal year starts in, I believe, 9 days on July 1st. So John will be sending out invoices through Wave. So last year was our first year using Wave. We were very, very successful at understanding very quickly that everybody received an invoice that should receive an invoice, and then it gave multiple options for payment too. So if you're not aware, in the past, sometimes we've had people who weren't invoiced for a year or 2, or they just had difficulty collecting it. Like we might go 6-7 months before we collect someone's annual fees. With Wave, we're collecting them very, very quickly now. Within 60 to 90 days is pretty much the last, people pay by then. So we're getting our money a lot faster as an organization. And as a result, we can operate much more efficiently as a result. So a lot of work that John has conducted on that, and it's excellent. So be on the lookout for that email coming up in 9 days. Committee reports. Moving on. Let's see, Randy. Let's see. Randy, you made a couple recommendations. Isn't that correct?
Yeah. So the awards committee, we did not submit any new nominations this year, but we did some more additions to the nominations that we had for both the Harrison Award and the AMS Fellows. So, so kind of strengthen those up. And then one thing we'll be doing this fall is looking potentially for a retired emeritus person for ACM. So we have. I actually got a name from somebody that we've got to take a look at, but we can always use more.
Yeah. And can I speak for you that you guys are always looking for someone to nominate?
Yes, we're always looking for someone to nominate.
Right.
because in 11 short months we'll be, or actually 10 short months, we'll be looking for new nominations.
Yeah.
Or I have to submit nominations. So
yes. Yes. Thank you, Randy.
Yep.
So marketing, Megan Walker, her report, they are ordering new materials for marketing. So if you guys aren't familiar, we have a table, we have a tablecloth, we have a giant pop-up that goes behind that table when we are at conferences exhibiting. Megan and her committee are ordering new materials because one, the trifold, the ACM trifold has our old website still on it because we changed that about 3-4 years ago, probably 4 now. Also, that old website is still on that pop-up too. So they're going to order new materials for trade shows. They have increased the travel reimbursement that Rick was talking about. So that has been increased for, let's see, $2,100 total for the year. So if you have 3 people attend, that's $700 for airfare and hotel. And if you have more, obviously, we'll cut that back a little bit. Increase the conference budget. They want to spend $3,700 in the upcoming year. That might mean we can attend 2 conferences, but that will be determined by the marketing committee. As Rick mentioned, it's difficult to find volunteers to represent ACM because we're all busy. We're all moving parts in different parts of the country. So it's a challenge for the marketing committee. If they happen to attend a conference that's relatively close to you, maybe I can ask that you look into attending for a day or 2. You don't have to be there the whole time. But Brant joined me in let's see, Anaheim, I think 2-3 years ago for a day, and that was great because I think I was solo on that trip other than Brant, so I appreciated the help. They continue to look at the website. They have a marketing intern. She's been really busy publishing. I don't know if you guys have seen the articles either on our website or on LinkedIn, but the intern is doing a great job. As far as next year, it looks like they are looking at the PLRB conference again. So look at that, or PLBR, whatever the acronym is. They're looking at that again. That's heavily into forensics, insurance, and legal. But if anybody on this or watching it in the future has a suggestion for a different type of conference, the marketing committee is always open for suggestions to discuss. We had our last small business forum just, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And so we had Glenn Kerr on there talking about the direction NCI is moving in, the challenges, we'll call it, they have moving forward. That was great. Everybody should have a follow-up email from TC with the link So if you don't have that, let me know. I'll send you that link. But I believe everyone should have that. Glenn does cover quite a few important topics in there, so it's worth listening to if you didn't get a chance to see it live. Let's see. Oh, and I'll as well speak for TC too. He's always looking for suggestions. If you know somebody who would be an interesting expert, subject matter expert, he'd be interested in you suggesting that to him. Best way is by email. Right now, TC, not only is he open for suggestions, but he's right now actively looking for the the fall small business forum to be AI centric. So if anybody knows an expert, whether it's an expert in AI or a legal expert that can kind of speak to that, or maybe somebody who's in NOAA or meteorology that also works with AI extensively, he would be interested in learning those contacts. Let's see. The mid-year meeting we discussed, which obviously we're having right now. We had our budget vote back in May. Obviously, we needed to accomplish that before the end of our fiscal year here, 2024, 2025. So that was voted on and passed unanimously for the budget. And let's see, our ad hoc committee came up with a recommendation, and I said in the email I would have the results. I don't have those. We'll have them this upcoming week. But we're looking to streamline membership categories. There aren't too many changes in this. Consulting remains, no changes in the wording. Associate remains, no change in the wording. Retired remains, again, no change. The change is in a level that's called potential, or I don't have the exact wording in front of me, but it's aspiring consulting meteorologist or aspiring CCM. So to speak to Jan, who brought this up, it's an opportunity to mentor. And I think not just me, but the executive committee, and I believe a lot of people in our membership would really enjoy more opportunities to give back to our community. So that's where the aspiring CCM is an opportunity for us to help those mid-career people who need to learn more about the CCM program. Gives us an opportunity to mentor them and help them prepare for it, and hopefully make them more successful at attaining it. Wrapping up the meeting, let's see, we did a couple technical votes within the meeting. One, if you weren't aware, our corporate seal for years was in Colorado. It was then moved to Connecticut, but the corporate seal was not. So what we did is we voted to, in our bylaws and constitution, to actually the corporate seal is now in Connecticut, but it wasn't reflected in our bylaws, if that makes sense. So the wording still had Colorado. So what we did is just to clean up our bylaws and constitution, is all references to the seal in Colorado be changed or amended to the seal in Connecticut, our corporate seal. So just kind of procedural, but I want you guys to know that. Let's see. The executive board is still keeping an eye on, NOAA budget cuts and how it impacts National Weather Service services. We put out that statement back in late March that our committee worked on, which they did great work. We turned that around in 2 to 3 weeks time, which was fantastic. Just great work by everybody who served on that. I really appreciate that they were able to do that on such short notice. Let's see the rest of the minutes, as I'm just kind of scrolling through them here, really gets into AMS, and I kind of want to save that for activities, which actually is the next thing we're going to talk about. So to share with you what we have going on right now. So many of you are probably already aware that Sam Miller and he has a committee of at least 4 additional people are putting on a short course that Sunday of AMS in Houston. That will run from roughly 8 o'clock in the morning until about 3:45 in the afternoon. They already have their content, they're meeting, they're preparing for that. They know all the deadlines. They've had help with the applications as far as what we've done in the past with short courses, so they have that information. Everything is going fine. They just met about a month ago, their most recent meeting. That's kind of a big deal. We're going to sponsor that as an organization, which means we're going to cover lunch for that and any other kind of fees that come up with it. I know there are, I don't remember them off the top of my head, but that will be something we're sponsoring with. We're looking to increase our footprint and hopefully positive influence at AMS in this upcoming year. So another area where we have the opportunity to promote the CCM program and as a result ACM is through poster boards. This is really simple, straightforward. I don't know what day of the week or multiple days of the week it'll be, but at most I would say 2, but maybe that Monday, Tuesday of AMS, we would be in the poster board session. We have a committee, TC has volunteered to be chair it. Poster board, really all you have to do for that committee is design a poster board that promotes the CCM program and then look for volunteers for the few hours that the poster board session is open to stand there and educate people walking by about the CCM program. Not a lot of work. If you're not on the committee, but you're going to be at Houston, you can still volunteer to stand by the poster board, talk to people and mingle with people. But it's, again, a great way to promote the CCM program, indirectly us, but kind of like the first step to mentoring, right, is to make people even aware of the opportunity and the benefit of the CCM program. The next one that we're doing, big organizational one, is hopefully we'll be doing this. AMS has to approve it, but we would like to have a town hall. So currently, Tim Hall, Alicia Wasula, and myself are discussing the town hall. We have on the 26th, so we have 4 days to get this in. We don't need a lot of detail in this. We just need a description, a title, and then we can apply and then pick the right symposium that we feel is for this. So the town hall is during lunch. It's an hour long. It's an interactive 2-way discussion. We want it to be, again, promoting the CCM program and ACM, but I think the focus is potentially leaning towards, this hasn't been 100% etched in stone, but we want it to be focused on kind of mid-career pivots, since we know a lot of meteorologists right now are in that, whether it's broadcast or government or independent. You know, we know a lot of people are dealing with adversity right now and uncertainty. And so we would like to at least offer a platform based on our membership who can speak to that and maybe give some suggestions, advice, and guidance. I think that would be attractive to AMS in Houston, but we shall see. That's right now. That's the current setup. Again, content here, we might have, and we haven't really thought this out, but it's really just 60 minutes while people are eating lunch. We could have 2, 3, 4 topics. We could even have breakout sessions at different tables where people move around from topic to topic, but it's real fluid right now. But I think it's really important that we have a very strong presence at AMS. And we also position ourselves not only as thought leadership, like we always want to do as an organization, but also as an organization that's really, really in tune with our community and engaged with them. And we can serve as kind of a role to help people if we can. Not a guarantee, but hey, we're here and we can talk and maybe we can help you out because we have a lot of members who have a lot of different experiences who might be able to speak to what you're going through right now. I think that would be valuable. So that is kind of the big thing for ACM as an organization. Now for our members like Brant and I know Randy, Are you going to present or promote? Yeah, so you're going to apply. I know Rick is interested. I think Kai and Dan, you guys have shared with me that you're interested in potentially presenting as well. If you do, the big thing is we want to promote you as an organization as well. So I would like us to work with one, identifying who's all going to present well in advance. So maybe by September, when everybody knows that they're confirmed for presenting, as an organization, one, we receive that. We know who all is presenting, and then share that with Megan Walker and our intern. And I want to start promoting that earlier than what we have had in the past. I want to make sure that we're very visible as an organization. And I want to make sure that everybody who's volunteering and putting significant effort and work into a presentation benefits from it, as you should. You know, you're creating something that's interesting to our community, and you should be recognized for that. So I would like to get that advertised a little bit earlier than normal, using our website, using LinkedIn. I just think, you know, we should be really proud of what our members are doing, and we should advertise that quite a bit. And I think that'll mean that Jim's going to be a little bit busier with membership, because people are going to be like, wow, this is really a dynamic organization that's very, very active. I think that's really, really important.
I'm ready.
All right. All right. So I've also been in email conversations with Marissa Welch and Kelly Savoy about Houston. Let's see. They are also looking for volunteers. So if you want to help in other areas, you just want to be really, really busy during AMS, they will be very happy to sign you up to help. A couple of things, they have career building events planned right now. They're nothing specific as of right now, but I suspect in the next 2 to 3 months, there'll be more in there. So Kelly is looking for mid to late career people with significant experience who can volunteer at these career builder events. They're also looking for general volunteers as well, but here, I'm going to put this in the chat. Hopefully this link works and you guys can see it. I think that'll take you right to the AMS online application form. And there are multiple areas that you can go into and volunteer for. So if you're interested in that, it was in the newsletter. I do believe it was in a previous email I sent out. I'm going to send this out at least 2 more times before the end of the year, just to remind everybody, because I know a lot of people still don't have any, concrete plans for Houston, and you may not until November, and that's fine. I just want to make sure that as many members that we have that are attending are aware of these opportunities to volunteer. I'm not saying you have to, but I want to make sure that you're aware of it. So it's always good to give back. And with that, that's pretty much, let me just think, that was kind of very AMS centric as far as our activities, but I'm trying to project out. Next Small Business Forum is in September. Our Q3 meeting, which is our next meeting, is also in September. So we have a quiet summer coming up. I'm just trying to think short term. Really, the only thing short term as an organization is the invoices will be out in 9 days. So just make everyone aware of that. All right. So I've been blabbing on enough. That's enough of the formality stuff. At this point, we can open it up for discussion. We already started on AI. If somebody wants to continue that conversation or maybe has something else they want to talk about, we can put topics in the chat and kind of like take them one at a time. But if you want to continue AI, we can do that. I can share with you guys, I've read a report from a non-CCM back in March. And this report had 2 paragraphs that read very, very differently from the rest of the report, meaning I didn't think it was his words. And so I made that observation to the lawyer, And I don't know if it was plagiarism, copy and paste. I didn't want to take the time to look up that up, but I said, you know, it might be worth you investigating, or it could have been AI. I don't know, but it was very differently worded than the rest of the report. So it stood out significantly. And I'm not an academic who reads papers all the time from students, but right away it seemed it was either plagiarism or AI. So I think we're just going to continue seeing stuff like this more and more often. Oh, so Elizabeth, let's see. I have a question about conferences that we are considering attending in the next 1 to 2 years. Okay. So that would be a great question for Megan and the marketing committee. I do know, you know, having served as the marketing committee chair for several years, that and Megan has continued this too. I think all of our conferences since 2018 have leaned heavily, if not 100%, into legal and insurance. We would be interested as an organization, and I don't want to speak for Megan, but this is a challenge we've had since, you know, I took over as committee chair in 2017 or 2018, somewhere around there, is we're always looking for suggestions, and it doesn't have to be legal and insurance. Like if there's an educational one, if there's aviation conference that would benefit our membership and increasing our exposure to a new audience, we're interested as an organization. If we continue growing too, we have the ability with a larger budget to do more as well, especially since we're also not only have a bigger budget, but more people in our organization who can volunteer, and we don't have to have the same 2 or 4 people doing all the work. It'd be much better to have a deeper bench, and we have, say, 10 to 15 people who can kind of pick and choose what's best for them. So there's nothing specific, Elizabeth. It's been an ongoing challenge for at least 7 years for suggestions from conferences. So our membership, again, it's diverse. If you are attending a conference you think ACM should be at, you know, shoot Megan an email because I know she would greatly appreciate it. Tim in his comments AI currently has the capability to take in writing samples and imitate your own style. Yes, I do know that. So I have one son who's still in college, who's entering his junior year in Madison, who uses AI a lot. And his older brother also uses AI a lot, who graduated 2 years ago. And the professors, most of the professors are encouraging students to use AI for certain tasks. And I don't want to speak for my son, so he would be able to answer this more accurately than I can. But I know some of his professors are encouraging them to use AI for specific tasks. And I think the challenge for academics, and Pam, you could speak to this better than I do, is creating a test that is mostly AI proof. I don't know if there's going to be anything that's AI proof, but creating something that makes it much more difficult to use AI.
Yeah, it's very hard. I don't write tests myself, so I don't have that problem, but people that do, that I talk to, say that it's just a real issue. I mean, there's all the other ways that people can cheat too, like there's test banks online that people use for cheating, and my husband's pretty much given up on doing the big classes anymore because people don't even come to class. They just get everything off of the online resources, and it's just very frustrating if you like to teach.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine that'd be very frustrating.
Mark?
Yeah, Rick.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on the conferences because I'm on the marketing. Megan, I'm sure would, if she was here tonight, she would comment, I'm sure. In lieu of that, at our last meeting, we had a little struggle with trying to identify conferences that were most appropriate for to get ACM visibility. And I think you said it, the legal and insurance industries I think are the most applicable. That's why we're looking. That's why I made that comment that if anyone was interested in attending a conference, let me know. And if you have any ideas on which conferences to attend, then please make a recommendation. And because right now I think we're focusing on mostly on PLRB, which is an insurance industry-based conference that proved with some success. So in answer to Elizabeth's question, if you have any suggestions or any, if you have an aviation conference that, for example, would be appropriate for ACM. We did talk about the ACM members that do show up to conferences. A cautionary note regarding self-promotion. I think there's a little bit of that inherently goes on just by default, because you're there present. But if we have a laptop up or a screen up with our homepage on it and showing our members, then people can scroll through and say, oh yeah, I need that expertise, or I need that expertise, and then we can comment about the expertise. So it's that kind of thing. But again, the marketing committee is open for recommendations. So.
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Yeah, it's been a challenge.
Yeah, because it's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of commitment. And our budget is paying for this. The registration to have a booth there at any conference is not cheap. So we have to thoughtfully commit to, and we decided that maybe we just don't do conferences because they are so expensive with limited return. But I think if we want to promote, yeah, AMS is good venue, inexpensive. I think we need to broaden the net a little bit and make a commitment one way or the other. So I think conferences are a good way of doing that. We need to get some traction, though.
Yeah, good point, Rick. Yeah, I mean, there are conferences where they might perfectly align with us, but it's $15,000 for a booth. I mean, so
exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. Kai?
I have an idea kind of along those lines. When Dan and I have gone to various places just in the last 2 or 3 years, it seems like if somehow, some way we can get up and talk, that is like a 20x return, as opposed to just a booth that you cruise by with your coffee and you're hungover from the night before. You know, if there's ever any way to get in front, that's why I really think that town hall could be really big in Houston, because you have the opportunity to actually speak and make the connection with people. Whereas with a booth, yes, you do get some connection, but it seems like, man, when you can present, I have gotten more work from presenting than I did anything just sitting at a booth. And that's what I think might be the best thing for us, is if not only do we have a conference opportunity, but can we narrow the focus to get somebody in there to actually present and get it out there? And that might help drive things even more.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I see Dan and Elizabeth do as well. My personal experience is when I have the ability to present at a conference, as you mentioned, I don't know if it's a 20x return, but it's a much better return than just standing by your booth for 5 hours, and you might get 5% of attendees actually walk by. It's much better to have a presentation where you could have anywhere from 10 to 120 people there who are actually, one, interested in sitting in that room. There's a reason why they're there, right? They have a motivation. And then two, you have that ability to, one, project your expertise. In this case, it would be ACM. And then three, having that personal contact, having a face to the information is always really, really important.
Mark, I got a
relationships. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rick.
Yeah, that doing a presentation is by far above and beyond the best way. It depends on the audience. If audience is a bunch of lawyers and insurance agents, then yeah, go for that. I spent $15,000 to do that. But in lieu of that, it's a lot of not very many people get to present like that, and to present at AMS. That's not our customer base.
Right. I wouldn't say, no, I don't think AMS is as well. I think anything we do at AMS, we're promoting the CCM program and
Exactly.
indirectly our organization. Right. We're not promoting business opportunities for our membership. So yes, I agree with you on that. Julie, you
But
had
it's
your
a
hand
different
up.
type of promotion.
Right. Yes, it's more of a recruitment, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Julie?
Yeah, hey everyone. Thanks for listening. So I wanted to speak a little bit about career transitioning because I'm sort of lost in mine. So for those of you who don't know my past, I was working for Earth Networks, now AEM, as an operational forecaster. I was highly involved in managing the department in terms of scheduling, supervision, just dealing with operational meteorology and shift work. I left that because I wanted to not do operational shift work anymore. And I changed jobs with the consulting world. The first year I worked with Hydromet, it was a full-time job. And at the end of 2023, I got a surprising news that my job would shift to contracted seasonal only work. So I ended up going to Baltimore in 2024, tried to figure out, well, what do I even want to do? Because now I know I'm only going to be working from basically late April through early October. And since then, I've just kind of been lost as to, well, what do I actually want to do? I'm not sure what I really want to do. I know more about what I don't want to do. I don't really, I thought about doing an LLC, but I'm not a marketing person and I don't think that fits my personality. I've done affidavits, but I don't really want to testify in court. My expertise lies primarily in forecasting and risk assessments based on climatology. I've done some forensic reports, but not enough that I can qualify for like a full-time kind of position in that, unless somebody just wants to, hey, Julie, can you help me out with this report? Well, do I want to keep, I'm signed, I'm currently working through the end of this, this season, and they are bidding on the next upcoming contract. So I probably, assuming they get rewarded the contract, I probably would be their first choice to continue on. But I'm at a key decision point. I need to either continue doing what I'm doing, which is a part-time gig, or I need to look for full-time, potentially look for full-time work. And I actually did that. I applied for a teaching position at MSU Denver earlier this year. I was not selected for that, but I am in their list for potential future, like adjunct opportunities. So maybe something will come out of that. At least I made a good connection there. So I'm sort of, I guess you could say I'm sort of lost right now as to what to do. Where do I want to go? What kind of work am I really qualified for that I would think I would enjoy doing? So if there's any sort of ideas people have and you want to have conversations down the road, let me know. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. I can share with you, I was in a similar situation when I was wanting to leave TV and I didn't have, the next step was not clear to me. And so I know that stress and anxiety. And you sharing that with you takes me right back to like 16 years ago. As far as any advice, I dropped a message to you privately with a link, but I'll talk like broad pictures. One, be flexible, have an open mind, look at all opportunities, don't have a narrow vision just on meteorology. So to give you an idea, you're at a point in your life where you have significant work experience, you're a mature adult, you know how to manage people and work with people. Life's not linear as much as we want it to be. And it might take 1 or 2 stepping stones to get to the stepping stone you want to be at. And it's a lot easier said than done. And trust me, I went through it, and it's frustrating. But I think if you can be as flexible as possible with your options, don't be rigid and say it's going to be this or nothing. Don't have that mindset. Continue to network. Continue to look at opportunities. I'm assuming you don't want to leave the Denver area. So is there a local AMS chapter in Denver?
I am not sure about that. I want to say I don't. If there is, I don't know it. I don't know about it.
Okay.
So there's like no marketing around it. I've seen there was this what was that? It was some sort of like there was like a meetup up in Boulder. I think there's probably more going on up there just because of the presence of the university and NCAR and UCAR and all of that. And I was actually up there for a ESPAC seminar. It's extreme precipitation type discussion. It was a really cool opportunity to hear people talk about it wasn't just precipitation, but it was like multiple time scales and multiple area extent. I don't remember the full acronym on that, but and I also went to the AMS Denver Summit to do conference stuff related to fire and forest and ag meteorology. Sort of a way to earn points, to be honest, but I thought it might be an opportunity to meet people and maybe network. So that's one of my biggest weaknesses is I'm not good at networking. I have no idea who to talk to or who would want to talk to me. And you guys are all established with your own companies, and I don't want to be a burden. So I'm just sort of, swimming around.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're not a burden. Second of all, and I'm just trying to think of ideas. There are a lot of meteorologists between Denver and Boulder. I know that, right? I think we can all agree on that. I would recommend maybe do a Google search, find out if there's a local AMS chapter and if they have events, and start showing up and mingle and introduce yourself. Just be forward and just introduce yourself, Second of all, I think a lot of people would be, very kind to you and want to help you out. All right. Second of all, I recommend you go on LinkedIn and do a search for meteorologists who live in your area, and then connect with them on LinkedIn and send them a message saying, hey, I'm Julie, I'm a meteorologist in the Denver area, and I see that you are as well. And you can tailor the message whatever path you want it to take, right? If you just want it to be an introduction, that's fine. If you want it to be like I'm exploring opportunities, that's fine too. I mean, that's the whole point of LinkedIn is to introduce yourself. If people didn't want to be bothered, they wouldn't be on LinkedIn, So the whole point
well, I can agree with that. I just got a solicitation the other day. I'm like, it's like, oh, we'll pay you to do this. I'm not sure if it's my cup of tea, but I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. But those are just kind of like 2 ideas that I have. People on this call might have others. I mean, I don't know if we can directly help you, but hopefully we can indirectly help you. And maybe there is a direct way to help you in the future. But I think you talking about it makes us aware of it, which is helpful in us maybe, I sent you a referral a few months ago just because someone called me out of the blue. And I said, well, I know somebody who's, might be interested in this. And, it's not me, but it might be Julie out in Colorado.
Yeah. I forget what's that. I forget about that one.
I think I called you and you said, yeah, it's probably not. I think they reached out to me and I forget what they were looking for, but it was a meteorologist or something, and it didn't align with me. I don't think it aligned with you, but at least, I contacted you to see if you'd be
Yeah.
interested if I shared your name with them.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, well, like, you talk about like CCM program, how do you earn points? Develop a new area of expertise. I'm like, okay, well, how would I develop a new area of expertise? What makes me an expert in this new area of meteorology where I wasn't one before? So like I was tinkering around with the idea of doing some air quality emissions kind of stuff, because that's a popular thing around here because of the air quality issues. I have a base level of boundary layer meteorology training from my past, but it's definitely not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
And a lot of the jobs I see in that field also are looking for a lot of experience in air quality, whether it's emissions and EPA regulations and all of that kind of stuff that I have never done before. So it just feels, I just turned 50 last year. So I'm kind of at that, well, I'm not quite ready to retire, but I definitely don't want to go back into operational forecasting because shift work sucks. I'm sure those of you who have done 24/7 work can identify with that.
Yeah, and no overtime too when you're doing it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, it's not like I'm not, I am making good money in the consulting work I am doing. I enjoy the forecasting that I am doing, but then it shuts off. And I want to figure out what I want to do. I didn't do that last year. I didn't really try, to be honest. I was just like, well, I have no idea. And honestly, I still don't really have a really good idea. But I have done some data analysis coding stuff. So I've been putting up some cool visuals on my LinkedIn page and my Twitter and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to do stuff, but I think I just need to find a little direction. So.
Understood. Kai?
One of my friends is kind of going through this same deal right now. And I had a kind of a similar transition where, my job didn't dry up necessarily, but the shift work was literally going to put me underground. One of my friends wisely said, the only job you don't get are the ones you don't apply for. So even if you only check 50% of the boxes, just do it. Just do it. What's the worst that happens? The worst that happens is they say no. I don't think to this day I've actually been fully qualified for any job I've ever had, going right back to the grocery store when I was 14. I've qualified for most of the stuff, but they took a roll of the dice on me and saw there was some experience there, which you have tons of. So
yeah, well, I have looked at like data analyst kind of jobs that are, involve pivot tables or Excel type functions, which I've done a lot of that kind of stuff. So I've been trying to just kind of look at those kinds of jobs. So
stuff on LinkedIn is also, to Mark's point, if you put up some of that cool stuff that people get a chance to see, we're like, oh, that's pretty sweet. That's awesome. And then if we get a situation where we need to do a referral, I know just because of my geography, I've referred several to Mark because we either had a conflict or something was going on. But it's like, all right, yeah, have you seen Miss Gaddy out in Colorado? Here's her LinkedIn. Look at some of the stuff she's working on. Let's get her involved. It could be something kind of cool. So, the worst you can do is not do it, I think, when it comes to the LinkedIn stuff and just trying to shoot every app out there you can.
Randy?
First of all, if you're fully qualified for a position, they can't afford you. So that's why you always hire somebody that's not fully qualified, and they'll do it for cheaper.
Yeah, that's the other thing is, you look at my resume and I have, I graduated in the late 90s and I've been doing this stuff that I've been doing for years. So, don't get me wrong, the people that I know who MSU Denver hired, and that person is probably better qualified because of their recent, environment in a classroom experience, leading classes in the real world. Not, I did this years ago, but I do managing. So that's kind of training and teaching. So yeah, that's a better fit, and probably a lot cheaper.
So my the other thing I was gonna say, and this is just completely, my thoughts on the whole, whole thing here. The next 6 months is going to be tough for meteorologists. There's a whole bunch of them out there now that that were employed 3 or 4 months ago who aren't employed now.
Yeah, I know it's
that are looking for jobs.
It's
So
even
that's
worse now than it was. Yeah.
However, once the dust starts to settle, people are going to realize they still need meteorologists for whatever reason. In some case, I think what's going to happen probably next year. Like I said, I think the rest of this year will be a little bit tough. Starting next calendar year, I think the Weather Service is going to start hiring again because they're going to see, oops, we have holes that we have to fill, and maybe some other agencies as well. Second, those jobs that they aren't doing now are going to have to be filled by industry. And industry, I think, is going to start hiring next year more than they are now. I mean, there's some, here, a few here and there where they're picking up people that, for specific reasons. But I think, like I said, it's going to be ugly for the next 6 months or so. But I think, in the longer run, 26, 27, I think things will actually pick up and get a little bit better, a lot better than they are now. But yeah, again, that doesn't help you right now or, later on. But
Well, always a blessing that I do have a job and we have enough money to, cover the lapse. But, I appreciate everyone's time. I do need to head out, but thank you very much for your ideas and your willingness to help. Hopefully I will take you up and contact you. I'm just ridiculously hesitant to reach out.
Can you pop your email in the chat real quick, Julie, so we've got it?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, and while she's doing that, Julie, I know a couple of people in the hydromet space in the Denver area. So I will when I have
Well,
your
I
email,
work with them.
I'll shoot you their names.
Oh, okay.
And see if maybe you can connect up that way too.
Okay. So not my company, but other people who are in.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good one, everybody. Nice chatting with you and getting to know you all better.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Julie.
it.
Yeah, great talking with you. Take care.
Bye. Hey, Mark, I have another comment.
Okay.
On a totally different subject. But getting back to the quarterly, the business roundtables. So I know that, TC is planning on doing AI, but I reached out to him the other day, again, based on the stuff that Rick and I were talking about the other day, but it's come up in some other things. I actually volunteered to do a roundtable, and we got to decide whether we're going to do it in September or put it off until December. We'll probably put it off until December because that actually helps me. About the whole AWAS program and how those sensors actually work. most people have, including meteorologists, and I suspect a lot of CCMs have no idea about the algorithms that go into, figuring out temperature and winds and visibility and all those other parameters that the ASOS and AWOS systems do. The other thing that I'm doing, and the reason what I'm planning on submitting an abstract on, is the citing issues about the ASOS and AWOSs. Finding that the locations that they say that they're in, a lot of times they are not. Sometimes they're within 40 or 50 meters. That's probably okay. I found some that are a half mile or farther apart or farther away than where they claim they are. The second part of that, which is probably going to be even longer, is when they are cited, they're usually pretty good, but it's now 30, 40 years since they've been put there, and now the trees are 50 feet tall and 40 feet away, or the airport built a building and the air conditioner for that building, the exhaust from it is now blowing against the sensors. We're seeing a lot of those problems, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. And like I said, it's not just a CCM problem, but it may be something that I can present maybe at the December meeting, and that will help tailor my talk at the at AMS. So just wanted to kind of give you a heads up that that's kind of the plan now.
Okay.
Randy, I think that's we've kind of, I think, commented back and forth on LinkedIn together or something about how important that is. But what I've been noticing specifically to that point, and it's just a hunch, I don't know it for, well, I know what I'm seeing, but I don't know if it's the reason, but maybe you can help me with it, is we go and calibrate MRMS data and Prism rainfall data, and when we're looking at a swath of precipitation, right? And we want to go make sure that we're getting it as calibrated as possible. We're not just reading it straight off of whatever MRMS says, right? We want to go calibrate it, make sure it's working correctly, right? We can calibrate it off of CocoRa's usually pretty decently. We have pretty good luck calibrating off of CocoRa's, whether it be Prism data or MRMS, which more or less the same idea, right? But when we start calibrating it off of ASOS, even places like large international airports, and we'll go down and we'll find exactly where that ASOS is located on the airfield, right? I mean, we're seeing drastic difference, yet the MRMS is supposed to be calibrating off of rain gauges. And it makes me wonder if the algorithm feeding into MRMS and the storm total precipitation, the level 3 NEXRAD data and all of that, even has the right coordinates fed into it for where the rain gauges are. I don't know.
So the list that I initially received was from the MRMS folks. So that's what I'm going off of.
So you're finding a big difference. That's my question. Perfect. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting topic. I don't think too many people are aware, and I'm just aware of a few locations, Randy, but how much of a deviation some of these ASOS and AWOS are based on the book of where they should be located and how they should be located. Chicago is a great example in that you have AWOS and ASOS, especially in the suburbs, that 40 years ago were in farmland. And now it's just sprawl. And so, yeah. Have they moved any of those? Probably not. I know a couple of them are hot and a couple of them are cold. And I think everybody on this call knows of, ASOS and AWOS that are like always just a little off from surrounding ones.
Well, I can tell you because, my time in the FAA, this topic came up, and we talked to the what are they? The folks that basically qualify them. And they said, yes, they are, they will go in and they will make sure that it is cited correctly. But once it's in, it is not their responsibility anymore. It is the owner of that ASOS or AWAS system, which is typically the airport. And if the airport doesn't do it, I mean, now if it's not maintained, that's a little bit different. They can do something about that. But that does not, once it's cited, it's out of their hands. And that's what we're seeing now. And that was something we're pushing. And the other thing I noticed, and it's the biggest one that blew my mind, is the way the system does gusts, wind gust. It is a complicated formula, and it's really an average, even for a gust. So especially I would suspect during tropical systems, it's way off on the gust, because it's it doesn't report instantaneous gusts, and probably shouldn't. I mean, it's set up for aviation. It is not set up for weather. it's just how it is. So
I got a story you'll appreciate, Randy. So you were in the military, right? I was over in Korea, and we have those tactical systems, right? And they report. You can make them report the KQ long line code, just like a METAR, right? And so we had one at one of the FOBs out there in north of Seoul, and we noticed like something was wrong with the ceilometer. It wasn't reporting right. So we went out there and took the ceilometer off of it, and we're bringing it back. We're going to send it back to Air Force Weather Agency or whatever, get a new one. So it didn't even have a ceilometer attached to it. And sure enough, I logged into the computer, and it's still spitting out METARs with ceilometer data. So I don't know I don't know what weather sensor tied into that one inside, but it was not spitting out its own observations. It's coming from somewhere else, So who knows? But I knew it couldn't possibly be reporting ceilings because I had the ceilometer in my office.
Yeah, but did you check? Was it right?
I don't even know. I mean, of course it wasn't right. I mean, it didn't have a ceilometer. I had no idea. Yeah, it's a mystery to this day. I have no clue how it was. Somebody had to type it. Somebody crossed the two wires or something. Over somewhere else, and it was spitting out somebody else's weather observations. I guess they're probably mad because somewhere else they don't have a ceilometer now.
What the hell's wrong with this thing? Come on.
I know.
All right.
Yeah, I know that one of the most important things I have found in forensic work is when I go do a site visit, it's almost more important, rather than seeing the actual site of wherever the incident was, going and visiting the various weather stations that I'm going to be using and how far off they are. I had a large wildfire case, and it was relying on this a raw site. And the other side was using the one that was in the book. Well, it had moved about 5 miles away, and so they were using something totally different, and we were able to catch it and make a much better assessment. But yeah, and now with especially here in the West, almost every utility company is putting up literally thousands of weather stations on power poles. Southern California Edison is 1,800, PG&E has 1,500. All the other smaller utilities have, hundreds, if not more. But they're all based up at 20 feet in the air, so you're getting 20-foot temperature readings, not down at the ground. And most of those are Campbell systems, and good quality systems. At AMS, I was talking to the Campbell rep there, and asked, well, have you ever done any adjustments to bring those down to, a meter and a half? He says, no, that's where it reads, where we put the instrument. And so, I thought trying to find a relationship, when someone's concerned about, surface temperatures or, near surface temperatures is more and more of a problem as I'm seeing those systems being prevalent. They're great for wind. They're at 6 meters, or 6.5 meters or so. And the difference to the 10 meters is, I think 13% or something like that. It's not huge. But as far as temperatures, it's